White has become somewhat of a regular to Newcastle's Cooks Hill Gallery, but every time he comes, he has a new trove of treasures from exotic parts of the world. This time, Tony has travelled to Jaipur in India to gather the precious and semi-precious stones for this collection. And as can be expected, one must pay for these gems. For example, this superb 18-carat gold blister-mounted pearl with carved aquamarine and diamonds on freshwater pearls will set you back a cool $6,000. But Tony says don't despair, this collection has something for everyone.
And this exhibition, the things range from about $100 up to $8,000, so there's all different steps on the way, so it's not as if it cuts out everybody. There's something really for everybody here.
This year's motorcycle extravaganza has been organised by the Newcastle Classic and Vintage Motorcycle Clubs. On show are examples of every type of motorcycle, from this rare 1909 Reading Standard to the popular Harley-Davidsons, all lovingly cared for, and judging from the number of people at today's opening, all very much appreciated. As well, vintage and classic cars will be on show until tomorrow, including this rare Messerschmitt three-wheeler. Proceeds from the two-day extravaganza will go to the Smith family.
This year, a new sporting event was included in the festival and had canoeists from across the state and the ACT paddling it out in the King of the Mountain Classic. Joined with yesterday's State Marathon Series event, canoeing has now become one of the major draw cards. But the festival isn't just for the serious competitor, and a number of novelty events and displays provided some light-hearted entertainment for the onlookers. But the highlight of the weekend was the endurance run that led competitors over the picturesque 7-kilometre course around Alum Mountain. With an early lead, first across the finish line was Sydney runner Michael Brodnick. Now in its third year, organisers say the future of the festival is assured, with all proceeds of the weekend assisting in a beautification project for Bulahdelah. On the 18th of August, 9-year-old Samantha was last seen at her Bondi home by a neighbour. Her disappearance has been a mystery to police and to the Knight family, who distributed thousands of posters like this one to help find the little girl. According to police, more than 200 children, most of them involved in custody disputes, went missing last year. And with the latest figures on child abuse and molesting, Babs Knight, Samantha's grandmother, has decided it's time to take a stand.
We're asking for laws to be changed, to be made harsher, so that there are not parole periods, so that there are no good behaviour bonds for people that commit violent crime towards children, violent offences that hurt our children.
That for the very young is this infant radiation heater, used to make the temperature of the room the temperature of the womb. Later on, it's utilised where babies have to be undressed for long periods during medical examinations. Our demonstrator here is 4-day-old Clancy Riley. The other donation is this syringe pump infusion set, an intravenous injector enabling controlled dosages to be administered over long periods automatically. Its main use is with heparin, a clot-dissolving solution important to heart attack victims. A cheque covering the $3,600 was handed over from the Belmont Lions president, Jack Felton, to hospital manager Trevor Cottrell. Looking on, representatives of the NIB Health Funds instrumental in the donation. The money was raised from raffles and an NIB charity golf day at Belmont. Another is coming up shortly, and new raffles are already underway, so the time to help next year is now.
Bursting onto the stage at the Civic Theatre tonight is the Great China Spectacular. Combining acrobatics with dance and martial arts, the troupe commands an audience of over 1 billion worldwide. Tonight we bring you a preview of this spectacle here now in Newcastle.
Join Ray Deneen and Anna Manzoni for all the news tonight at 6.
The crossing is often used by pupils at Maitland Boys High School as a shortcut to sporting facilities across the track at nearby Medford. Genevieve was travelling on the train from Newcastle to Maitland when the rock was thrown just before Victoria Street Station. Sergeant Errol Smith of East Maitland Police takes up the story.
As the train passed this point on the railway line here, a number of young high school boys were at the side of the line. One of them threw one of the large pieces of ballast which were between the railway lines through the open window of the carriage, striking a young girl about the eye.
It seems to be a favourite trick of the boys around here.
It's very prevalent of boys in any town, I think, not even here.
What can the police do about that?
Well, we're patrolling the tracks at most times of the day. We get numerous calls to patrol the tracks and work in conjunction with the railway police, who also patrol the tracks to clear the kids off the line.
It's these bits of rock, ballast from beside the railway tracks, that were used in the attack yesterday. Police charged a 14-year-old juvenile from Maitland Boys High School with the attack, and he'll appear in Maitland Juvenile Court on December the 1st.
According to police, 28 people have been arrested and were part of an organised racket responsible for the theft of 24 cars over an 8-month period in the Toronto and West Lakes area. 6 people have already been charged with stealing the cars. The other 22 are charged with making false insurance claims and false statements to police. The NRMA is the largest car insurer in Australia. According to the Newcastle branch manager Rex Bauer, insurance fraud is a major problem throughout the state.
It's a problem which has been confined up till now relatively well to Sydney, but is spreading into the country. So now it is a statewide problem.
Last year, the Pacific Highway saw 99 deaths, compared with 56 on the Hume Highway, making the number of fatalities for the distance covered 3 times the state average. Mr James says the highway is unforgiving, and minor mistakes can end up in catastrophe. NRMA engineers found the road cannot cope with current traffic volumes, and at the present rate of construction would not cope even with forecast growth. They call for drastically increased state and federal funds to build overtaking lanes at least every 5 kilometres and bypasses for major urban centres. On the so-called accident black spots, the survey team inspected 27 crash scenes and concluded that alignment, pavement, shoulders, proximity of trees or lack of safe overtaking opportunities had been a factor. They commented that some overtaking lanes had been added without altering the alignment, leading to excessive speed on tight curves. The detailed report on the survey has been presented to the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Road Safety.
Yesterday, the Navy commissioned its newest minehunter. The rush cutter, built by Carrington Slipway's fiberglass division, is designed to locate mines with sensitive sonar. It then investigates the individual mine and destroys it. But the minehunter works best in the shallow waters of harbours and channels. To be effective, it must be complemented by mine sweeping operations. This is HMAS Waterhen on the banks of Sydney Harbour at Waverton. It's now the home of Australia's mine-hunting operations. This is also the home of our existing mine-sweeping fleet of old wooden boats. They tow lines to sever moored mines or set them off with noise generators. Has there been a breakthrough in mine-sweeping technology in Australia recently?
Yes, there has. Our Defence Science and Technology Organisation has developed certain techniques and certain equipment which will minimise the weight of mine-sweeping gear required, and I can't reveal the details of it, but it certainly means that we can undertake mine-sweeping far more cheaply and more effectively than we've done in the past.
And this will complement the testing its new lightweight and portable mine-sweeping gear on fishing trawlers in Ulladulla on the south coast. And in coming years, the Naval Reserve will also be trained in the use of this revolutionary new equipment.
The move comes in the wake of the Reykjavik summit.
Last July, Christine Biskig's baby daughter, Marisa June, died. Christine and her husband paid a few $100s cash for a cement slab cover and headstone for this plot here at the Sandgate Cemetery. On the weekend, Christine, along with her newly born baby boy, went to visit the grave. It was the first visit in 8 weeks, and the first time Christine had taken her new baby to see his sister's grave.
We come up with a bunch of gladiolus and we stopped over there and got the water and come in, and when we come here to see our grave just like this. So I just got in the car and I went back to my sister-in-law's place. I was really upset to think that, there was nothing there. Anyway, we came back here and there was all these people around, and we asked them, did they notice anything had gone missing? And one lady came over and she said she can remember the grave because her daughter-in-law used to come and sit beside it because it was a really pretty little grave, and nobody seemed to know anything.
As it turns out, the cement slab and headstone were removed by the monumental mason who built them, and that was done on the recommendation of the cemetery caretaker, who suggested the gravesite didn't comply with the stringent specifications laid down by the Department of Lands. The Sandgate Cemetery Trust says the monumental mason was in the wrong because he didn't fill out the adequate applications to build the grave in the first place. Meantime, the Minister for Lands, Jack Hallam, has now begun an investigation into the incident. But it seems the people most affected by the bureaucratic mix-up have been Christine Biskig and her family. As work proceeds on the bicentennial foreshore project, a series of plans and drawings have been produced to show what the finished product will look like. Included is this artist impression of the Queen's Wharf complex. The display also contains some historic photos of just how the harbour looked in past years. According to the council, the foreshore project is running to schedule, with reclamation work for the Queen's Wharf complex expected to be completed by the middle of this month. Tenders for the development close at the end of November. Meantime, tenders to turf Camp Shortland near Horseshoe Beach will be called at tonight's meeting of the Newcastle City Council.
At the Newcastle Royal Hospital, a lesson of a different kind was underway. Instead of the teachers showing the students, the roles were reversed, as the young volunteers from the Junction Primary School displayed their handwriting techniques. The two-day seminar on paediatric assessment and treatment brought together 30 occupational therapists from across the state. In today's practical workshop, the therapist studied any developmental difficulties that the children may have with pencil control and handwriting. And according to coordinator Helen Edwards, a lot can be learned from putting pen to paper.
What we do is we identify where the problem is occurring. Is it a problem of grasp? Is it a problem of letter formation or what? And then set about writing a program to remediate those problems.
Just how early can developmental problems be detected?
Well, with children there are some that you would recognise not handwriting problems but problems of general development of the child right at birth. The earlier you can identify the problem and start working with it, the less frustration, the less lack of confidence and so on in the child, and the much better chance we have of remediating the difficulty.
These little chorus from the Marks Point Infants Choir represent just one of the 35 schools in the East Lakes area, performing their part in the annual festival to the Pink Panther theme. Organisers say the aim behind the spectacular is to give the budding entertainers the chance to perform in front of the public, other students and, of course, proud parents. 4,000 young students will sing, dance and act on the stage of City Hall until Friday. And even though some of the musicians from the St Paul's Gateshead Percussion Group are only small in size, it doesn't stop them from making a big noise.
Yesterday morning to close of bets just prior to the race, TABs in Newcastle and the Hunter region reported their busiest Melbourne Cup day for years. $1.75 million was invested locally with strong support for Reckless Tradition, the Maitland stayer owned by Larry Pickering. At 2:40 race time, parties around the region were suddenly quietened so that revellers could watch their investment.
Legend Clark's got it one, I think. Antelek a leap and a half in front of Rising Fear. Colin Hazeman's his second cup. Antelek a half Rising Fear. Third Sea Legend, Kiwi a mighty run fourth. Then Empire Road.
6 o'clock, 5 American diplomats were today expelled from the Soviet Union in retaliation for the expulsion by the United States of Soviets working at the United Nations earlier this month. The move comes in the wake of the Reykjavik summit, with the two superpowers still trying to work out where they stand.